Well, hey there, tribe. How are you doing? I hope everything's going great for you so far this week. I'm Annie Bauer, and I am the founder of the Smart Better Life. I'm an optimist, educator, and inspirer where I help everyone live a smart, better life, and I'm here to bring you information to live your best year ever. So recently, I was at one of the tour stops for Oprah Winfrey's 2020 Vision Tour. And I believe there are only maybe 9 stops on the entire tour. There were people there. We had 15,000 people in an arena, and there were people there who drove or flew from hundreds of miles away or from completely different cities to Charlotte, North Carolina to share an entire Saturday with Oprah Winfrey and Amy Schumer. And it's definitely well worth your time. So if you can find a tour stop near you, I would highly recommend it. And I wanted to share some key takeaways with you over the next few videos of wisdom that I picked up from Oprah Winfrey, but it's also wisdom that just keeps resonating over and over in all the work that I do. And some of these messages you probably have heard me already talk about, but they're definitely well worth repeating. And the first thing she opened up with is wellness begins with creating personal boundaries. So I thought that this was very interesting, and I don't want to skip over this, even though I've talked about this recently. I think it's extremely important for us to realize that the opening statement, the opening monologue was wellness begins with personal boundaries. So we could have started in a lot of places. We could have started with health or fitness or your diet or your spiritual wellness or your habits, but we started with personal boundaries. And you've heard me say this repeatedly, but it's well worth repeating here again that if you don't have your boundaries in place, if you don't have your priorities and your values established really, really well, you will not be able to attain the full wellness that your body, mind, and spirit deserves. And what do I mean by that? So if you don't set boundaries as far as when you're going to exercise, when you're going to have self care, when you're going to leave time for your spiritual practice in your life, when you're going to leave time to shop for healthy food or take time to rest because your body deserves rest. If you don't have that really, really well established, that caring for yourself and caring for your body and that rest and health and wellness and spiritual care and mind care are not important, then you will let everything and everyone creep into that space. And if your boundaries aren't really firm and clear on what those priorities and values are, even if you know your values and priorities, you will let people leak through the boundaries and into your space and time. And it's in the smallest of ways. It's not something really large. It's not walls. A lot of times these boundaries are permeable. So it might be where you let someone steal 15 minutes of your day, and that's the 15 minutes that you were going to go take a walk. It might be that you let the emails and the phone calls come through all day long and you answer everybody else's needs, and you do that over and above your own priorities and your own goals for the day. So maybe you have a goal to write 500 words in your book, or maybe you have a goal to go to your Latin dance class or to work on a new hobby, or you've set aside an hour because you want to go lunch with your children and give them some one-on-one time. Every time that you let that little 10 minutes, that 5 minutes, that 15 minutes, that hour creep in, and you let other things and other people steal that time away from you, then your boundaries are permeable. They're not set hard and fast boundaries. And I've talked in a previous video, you can reference it, about setting boundaries but still being kind. But people will respect you for boundaries that you set really firmly. So your wellness, Your self-care has to be the pillar from which all else evolves. If you don't feel well, if you don't have good health, if your body is in dysbiosis or in a diseased state, you will not be able to serve at your highest level for anyone. You have to start with yourself. And women out there, this is a hard message for us because we've been taught, we've been trained to put everybody else's needs above our own, to be the caretakers, to be the nurturers. And we can work ourselves to the bone until we're absolutely exhausted and everyone else's needs and dreams and goals are satisfied and we're worn out and depleted. So fill yourself first. Fill your cup first. Set those priorities and boundaries. And I promise you that if you do this, when you do this, you will be able to more fully fulfill the wants and needs and desires of those around you. But it's got to start with you. It's got to start with your own self-care. It's got to start with setting a really firm fence around you and your priorities and values and what matters most to you. I hope this message helps. I'm here, as always, to field your questions. I'd love to hear your comments. A lot of you are writing in with some great stories. You can DM me. You can find me on social media at the Annie Bauer or at my website, anniebauer.com. And I will be bringing you more words of wisdom and my takeaway from Oprah's 2020 Vision Tour, 2020 Vision Tour. And until then, just stick around, keep watching the videos, keep being your awesome self. I'm glad you're here. I love all of you, and I hope that you make it an awesome day with great boundaries and fulfill your values, fulfill your personal obligations to yourself, and share yourself with the world after you've taken care of yourself first. Thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow.